Anybody there? I am live. I'm going to wait for a few minutes. Hello. I'm here and you're not. A few more minutes won't hurt. Okay, I see that there are 3 watching. Nobody's in the chat yet. Let me know you're here. Let me know everything's working right. Nobody's going to hurt you. Hurt you. I wouldn't hurt you. I didn't get a chance to clean up after Tuesday because yesterday I worked on the commission for 3 or 4 hours. So I'm cleaning up while I wait for a few more folks to get here. Desk space is at a minimum. Anybody out there? Say hello to me. All right, making a little room to work here. Fiddle, 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 fart, fiddle, farting around. Anybody listening? Put it sideways. Now it's out of the way. Here we go. Going live. All right. Y'all know I'm taking the monthly subscription class from Robin McClendon. And she kept talking about the books that she's purchased and how they're collectibles. I'm just doing everything under the camera here. I'll quit. Calm down. I just crammed a Sonic hamburger, so I'm wired right now. Galena. What kind of issues, Galena? Buffering. Are you buffering with me? Hey, Nancy. I wish they'd get it fixed. I mean, this is their business. Sometimes if you will reload the page, I'm getting pretty good. See how much the lag is? Quite a bit. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 7-second delay right there for my hand. Well, I'm going to go forward because I don't know what to do to fix it. I'm not sure that it's on my end, but it could be. I'm not showing any signs of it on the laptop. So here we go. Robin McClendon, ROBYN McClendon. And she takes old books and makes Xeroxes of some of the pages and uses those in her collage materials so that you don't have to use the originals. This book says There Japan. Oh, I just remembered last night how many things I have from Randy's mother, who was Japanese. This book is bound like Asian books, and the paper is very, very lightweight. Some of it is doubled. See? Isn't that cool? So printed and then folded. And because the paper is so lightweight, you don't have to have a crease right here, or so like if you were using cardstock, you could actually have a hinge or something so the book would open without the page breaking. That doesn't make sense, but I know what I'm talking about. Anyway, this is the English. It's There Japan. So it's telling the English. She was married to Randy's daddy, who was Red Cross. So these are some of the materials that they give the Americans when they went over there to understand the country they're living in. I'll get it out. Look at this. I cannot believe they did lithography printing on something that thin. So this is one of the books that I have. That'll make great Xerox copies. I think I just saw some calligraphy. I did. Look, Japanese calligraphy. I could learn how to do it from there. Okay, there's that book. I also have a Bible printed in Japanese, and I thought that's what this was when I grabbed, but it wasn't. Then I found this box. They use these boxes for all kinds of storage, I guess because they were just cheap over there. And this is just a bundle of calligraphy writing I don't know if somebody was taking a class or practicing or what this says. Is that cool? Feels like a natural paper. Different color. So that's what's in this little package. And God forbid I would never, ever use the originals. Look at these. This was in, well, I don't know what it is. They lived there when Randy was 7 or 8. But she's from there, so who knows how old this is. These are little torn pieces of those calligraphy posters. Kalina, is yours getting any better? I wonder why those are torn. We'll never know, will we? So I'm assuming that's what that is and that. And then we have some calligraphy. And just some torn scraps to them, but I guess it was important enough for her to have. Hey, Judy, let me know if you're buffering. I'm showing some bits and bobs from Randy's mother. It was important enough for her to bring it back to the States when it was time for them to leave Japan. So I am just glad that somebody didn't just come along and throw this away. So that's what's in this little box. I got to get that where I can see it and you can see it. So that one's calligraphy on paper. I don't know what made it important. And this is a Japanese silk scrapbook. Don't you just love the workmanship? This has been through some years. Now this dates back, I think this is just photos. This dates back to that same time period. Old pictures. This was when his dad was over there for the Korean War, maybe. Anyway, lots of good stuff in there. And this one. And this is just junk stuff to them. I mean, it's covered in paper, but to me, it's an absolute treasure. I got it upside down. No? Why would they put a pocket at the top? Oh! Pull your head out. My uncle, Judy, my uncle brought me back a Japanese jewelry box, you know, with the lacquer finish and everything when I was probably 5-ish. Oh man, I used to open that and smell that sandalwood. Look, she is so smart. Front to back. I mean, our back to front. So that's a piece of blank paper. And somebody again practicing calligraphy. See, I know this is right side up because she wrote on it here. So somebody gave her this in 1987. Don't have a clue. This looks like my Oh, seeing a big glare. It's coming from that one. Well, we won't be in here with this very long. I guess it was somebody practicing their penmanship or something. Looks like my goddess writing. Haha. So I will Xerox these, print them out on parchment paper, and use them in my collages. They were using a massive brush. I don't have any of the great big Asian brushes. And I wonder what the purpose of this tape is up here. Lost it sticky if it had any a long time ago. Somebody else's practice stuff. So do you think that our practice stuff is going to be popular someday with someone who's going to look at it and say, oh man, look at this. Where did they get that idea? Chances are pretty good they will. This is just practice. Like somebody went to calligraphy school. Okay, let's close this one up since it's giving us the most glare. Hi, Kathy. Facebook has been having problems, so if y'all are buffering, sometimes reload the page will help. This is the Pisse la Résistance. How do you like my French? With an Arkansas accent. I helped her move this a couple of times. This is a book, and I hope I'm opening it correctly. I think I am. This is a book from Japan, obviously, since that's what we're doing today. Here's a cloth. Just an inexpensive piece of linen, it looks like. Yeah, it's linen. Tucked in this book. She never got to talk about. No, I didn't fold that back right. Drat. That's close to what it was. Her family lived in Denver, and she was what they call Nisei, and I'm not pronouncing that right. She was born in America of Japanese parents. It's Neisei, I believe. Nesei. Anyway, that's what that means. And when the war broke out, as y'all know from history, the Japanese people could either go to an internment camp, of which 2 were over on the eastern side of Arkansas. And that comes into the story here in a minute. And her family were farmers. In fact, they were very successful farmers in the Denver area and had enough money, as so the story that I heard in bits and pieces um, was that they went back to Japan. The story ends there because Randy's daddy never would let her talk about it. So your imagination runs wild. She told me that this book was done in celebration of the Emperor of Japan visiting her uncle's miso factory on one of the coasts. And I think that is just so cool. Be fun to know what that says. I bet I could find somebody. Wait till you see some of these pictures. Anyway, this paper is yellowed. It's a good thing they used good paper, but it'll make a great Xerox copy and print for use in collages. And this is like a real thin, I don't know what. This is just pictures. And I don't know if I'm going through it front to back or not. I'm sorry. Look at the, am I down far enough so y'all can see it? Maybe I'll come down a little bit more. Don't tear it. I need to turn it this way for y'all to see it good. Got right on fixing that, didn't I? Make sure that I'm in camera for you. Okay, so you've got the Japanese flag, and you've got these old-fashioned umbrellas. Quite an entourage. And I've kept this book. The pictures are just priceless. What I would give to live in there. She said she had memories of being there as a little girl and hearing the houses were open and they slept on the tatami mats and she could hear the sounds of the ocean from the windows. Another view of probably a little tea house. Kind of westernized, the light fixture and the curtains. These would also be good sources for paintings if I was into painting. I love those little arched bridges. Like Monet's garden, and that's where he got his ideas from. I didn't tear it. Here's the little piece. Look at that tree. My very, very, very first needlepoint ever was of a bonsai tree, and it was in Better Homes and Gardens, I think, a magazine. I had no clue what I was doing, and that thing was so bumpy. Here we go with the making of the miso, which is fermented soybean paste. Or it's soybeans that have been fermented into a paste. Traditional Japanese dress. Are y'all enjoying this as much as I am? The old cars. It's almost done. Show and tell's almost done. Fireworks. I guess they had a ceremony at night. It looks like a groundbreaking ceremony of some sort. Definitely 1920s or 30s dress. I used to have, well, I passed it on to daughter Betsy, Teiko's sister's wedding kimono. It was beautiful. People. How simple. I strive for simplicity. It's a nice thought if you could see my studio, but it is getting better. She saved this from 2002. His mom saved everything. Modern Tokyo. Okay, that's the show and tell. Yeah, it is priceless. And this book, I couldn't come up with an idea of what I wanted to do with what was in it. I knew I didn't want to tear it up. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Early in my urting, but now I know, thanks to Robin McClendon. So we've got a few. I think I found this paper, and I'm not real sure what it is. It doesn't have a watermark on it, but it feels like it's got some cotton in it. I thought I would jelly print a wee bit on those. I've got my rubber stamps hanging up and to my left, and I've got hooks on them and a wire rack over here so that they hang very nicely. And I can just flip through them. I went through a spell a couple of years ago not knowing any better. Oh, those are negatives for the, stamp making machine I have. It uses a consumable. I bought it on sale, but it does use a consumable package, which scares me because you don't know if you can buy more. Anyway, that's what that is. That back in there. I don't want it to stick again. I'm going to pull out a few of the bigger stencils. This is either Tim Holtz or Seth After. I've got a big one I'm looking for. Yeah, no, I could have been prepared. Something just fell. I think this is it. Now, some that I've been learning from Robin. That's a good all over one. That'll do a good job. Some that I've been learning is to get to a point where you're making your own papers and your own embellishments and stuff like that. However, you can still use your, what am I trying to say? Your stamps and stencils. You just learn to disguise them a little. I'm digging in my bag over here for, hang on, my Stays On pad. I put my black stays on in my travel bag, and we're going back to Rosemary's this Saturday. So Rosemary Morris, she might drop in on us here. I miss the stamping and scrapbooking days completely, so my scrapbooking skills are not very good. Using my computer touch screen with my left hand. I'm not seeing live chat on the computer. Oh well, I've got my iPad up here. Look at it. Hey, Linda. My pad may need to be re-inked. See, how's that for rubber stamp talk? Linda. That was operator error, wasn't it? Let's do another one. That one's usable for what we're going to be doing. What we're going to do is use this stamp. Breathe on it like. Use this stamp. I've got it on my iPad. YouTube needs to get their act together. I mean, here they got all these folks from Vimeo, or yeah, that's what it was. And I better take care of everybody, don't you think? See, I want this side. Usually it just pops up. I don't have to do anything. Okay, there's 2 pages. Now put this little guy back in his folder. Secret to keeping it organized. This is a CD container plastic deal, and I just put a hook that I get at Amazon, and it works beautifully. This is one. Oh, and I saved the plastic baggies that craft supplies come in. It's got that flap that you peel up. It's got a little adhesive. I turn that to the inside and use it to put something in that doesn't have a way to hang it. This one I did a terrible job of folding, but when it tears, I'll just get another one, and then I'll just put a hook on it. And this is a stamp that I bought because Patty Tolly Parrish uses it. So if Patty Tolly Parrish is in the audience, that's why I have this stamp. I'm a good little girl when it comes to buying stuff other people use. She was using this one with her. Hey Sharon, it's all right. There is no time you have to show up. What I did, the first part of the show was they showed the Japanese artifacts and scrapbooks and pages I have from Randy's mother. Japanese stuff. Methinks the pad does need to be re-inked. Okay, there's that one. And just hang it, reach up there and hang it up. So proud of that. Got one more sheet of this. We don't know what it is, paper. Anyone know what these are? Like I said, they're either Tim Holtz or Seth Apter or so instead of layering different media on top or a coat of acrylic paint or whatever, we're going to focus on thin layers so that it makes it our paper. And it's not as obvious that we used a rubber stamp from somebody else, which, you know, really doesn't matter. But that's the way Robin McClendon teaches, and that's what I'm doing right now. Oh, that's a repeating stamp, I betcha. If y'all are lurking out there, say hi. These things get to where they don't stick. Probably operator error. Got those. These little deli sheets were sitting up there begging to be used. I'm just going to cover this with some stamped images. I love using deli paper because it just disappears when you glue it down. Not so much with the Uhu stick, which we're using because it makes your pages flat. But it's cool to make one of these, even on a piece of tissue paper, white tissue paper. They make great collage materials. I had a doctor's appointment at 2, didn't get home until 3:15. No, 3:40. And tried to cram a Sonic hamburger down was fun. And then I hadn't cleaned off this side of the studio since Tuesday. So I had a little bit of a mess to clean up. Okay, let's get something else. Let's get something else. Judy, you can get, whoa, that didn't do good. You can get deli paper at restaurants, you know, hamburger place, upscale hamburger places. If you ask the waiter real sweet, sometimes they'll give you a handful of it. Deli paper is a little bit stronger than tissue because it has a little bit of wax on one side. That's what keeps the grease from coming through. And you can buy that same deli paper at any kitchen supply store, and you can get it at Sam's. Might as well use these since we've got them. And you can order it online. I mean, Amazon has it too. You can get it in colors. You can get it in stripes, polka dots. What have y'all been working on? Anything fun? Oh, we need to look at those watercolors I half-assed made the other day. They did shrink, but nobody's surprised about that. These are pretty cool stamps. I'm going to do this all on one piece of paper, and then I can cut it apart. Will these restick themselves? I don't care for that brick one. I want to bring back that one I got Patty Tollett berries. Those are all light colored stamp pads. That won't work. I've got some distress oxides in here. Looks like a stick. See if these have better ink. Oh, cool, Sharon. They're fun. Now you know how people get those cute little watercolors they do that look so simple. It's a trick. I'm looking for another. I don't want numbers or letters or words. I never have been very much for letters, numbers, and words. Ooh, here's a good one. Did we use that already? No, this is a different one. This one has some Japanese, Asian printing on it. Shannon Green even had a bright idea to use Daddy Van's furniture polish wax on tissue paper to render it. That's pretty. Render it even more translucent. It looked like wax paper. Yeah, I did some too. I've got some in my book. And these I put Tombow stick over and over tape dobbies. I mean glue dobbies and let them dry. Okay. We're going to call that done. All right, stage one. Get out the delis, the little delis. This is about my favorite deli. This 3x5 index card size. We got some goodies. And here's where it got hot because I didn't empty my trunk of my car, and part of it peeled off with the plastic. But you know what? For this kind of work, it's fine. Doesn't bother it at all. Okay. Let's start with the aqua. What we're going to do is just put real light layers. We're not going to do cover-up layers. And I still haven't found the orange and yellow flash. You never know when or if Walmart's going to restock. Real thin. Now it'll take a little bit for this to all start working and softening those layers. And that's what makes, that's what makes the previous layers that are dry come off. Using it as a sponge. And this is the red flash. See, if I had the orange, it's perfect with that aqua. If I had. Never quite seem to have enough. Hey, Robin. Y'all check out Robin, Robin McClendon now. Getting a little bit of crusty stuff off. That just is so cool. What we're doing here for you latecomers is making our own paper using stamps, but we're modeling the background so that you can't really identify it. Hey, Robin, welcome. If it's your first time here, I didn't get enough paint on that. I had an active YouTube channel a year or so ago, and then had to take time off because I was designing an art school, and that was all I could think about. or I wouldn't get it done. So now I'm back, and I missed it. Pretty. And I'm glad that you're commenting, Robin. A lot of people just like to lurk. Ooh. Little bits in turquoise from somewhere in the past. That's so cool. This is folk art. Oh, these are the folk art color shifts. You can get them at Walmart. It's the cheapest place. I think they're $3 a tube. You can get a big jar of them, 8 ounces, at Hobby Lobby for about $8. This is folk art metallic chocolate brown. Yes, it would be as if your Hershey bar had mica in it. This is a good day for questions because I'm not really doing anything think intensive. Ooh, look at that pretty color with that turquoise. Nice. You never know what you're going to get. When I started out jelly printing, all I had seen was people globbed a lot of paint on, and it would take forever for stuff to dry. This is a beautiful color, by the way. Chocolate brown. Chocolate brown. I mean, you'd do a piece of paper and it'd take 2 or 3 hours to dry. And then I started seeing some things I really liked, and they were thinner application. You could see through the plate. And I like that better for me. Hey, May. Go back and look at the first of the video when you get a chance. I was talking about using old family artifacts for, look how pretty, for Xeroxing and printing on parchment paper or something that looks old for your found papers. I'm on a kick now where all I want to do is use found papers. Not found. I want to use my own stuff. But here I'm using stamps as a starting place. Stamps aren't center stage. All these different layers are. I'm using the color shift folk art, and the brown one is a folk art metallic. And I intend, ooh, wow, talk about obliterating the stamp. But that's okay. That's what we wanted. Maybe not quite to that extent, but. I had a little too much paint. You know, as I was talking about using less paint. Ooh. Still need to do that before I start. And the other thing I've got here, these are just some papers I found in a folder, so I don't know what they are. Right now I am a follower of Robin McClendon, R-O-B-Y-N, and she's the one that likes to use her own materials in her collages. Nothing wrong with using other papers or junk papers or anything, but you know how artists are. We change something under there that made that. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Party, party, party. Let's see what else I've got over here. What else I don't have over here. This is zinc. It's a Deco Art Dazzling Metallic. They forgot to slice it. That's okay, then you can just pick it up and eat the whole thing. And you won't know how many slices you have had. Nobody can count. Now I'm just going to cover this the same way I did those individual ones. Hey, I can think of a way to break the rules. Remember, we're trying to obliterate the stencil enough, obliterate the stamp print enough so that it's not the star. Stamp manufacturers probably don't want to hear that, but there you have it. We're going to do this for a little while, and then we're going to move to a journal. Bye, May. Hope to see you again. Glad you stopped in. Yummy. You can still see the stamp, but these little turquoise bits are pull-ups from other prints. There's the blue color shift. I love this paint. Use some more of that chocolate. Pretty combination. Got in another 4 hours yesterday on my commission. So I feel pretty good about that. We're having a fresh, homegrown Arkansas BLT tonight. Hey, Susan. Yeah, Sharon, that's about typically how long I work. If I'm working on a piece of art, oil painting, I can work on 3 or 4 hours. That's about it. And then my brain fries. I'm just assorting these colors. That purple is so nice. These are translucent. I can show y'all a quickie picture if you want to see. This is what I call the first layer. Could be the underpainting. I could call it the underpainting. Y'all don't need to see my password. You ever hit the off button about the time you're ready to show something? Come on. Can you see that? Don't do that. Maybe if I just put it, nope, that doesn't work. Anyway, you can sort of see it. That's all wood burning, or excuse me, pyrography. The next step is encaustic. Hope the temperature drops a little bit. It's 90 degrees today, and it's hotter than a by God out there. You like it, Judy? My customer had the choice of seeing it as it goes or waiting. He said, I can't stand it. And his spouse, partner, well, they're married, so was sitting right next to him on the couch. He said, I can't stand it. It's nice to have a client like that that's appreciative of what you do. And all of my paintings are priced by the square inch, regardless of how much time they've got in on them. So, you know, it doesn't matter if I spend 40 hours just on the under painting. See what we can get off of this one. This was another left in the car jelly plate. Didn't hurt the plate, but it didn't do any favors to it trying to get it off its plastic. If y'all get bored, we can switch to the journals. Jelly plates are wondrous things. Wondrous tools. So remember that name, Robin McClendon. She quit giving her work away for free and went to a subscription model. And I am definitely getting my money's worth out of it. All right, we've covered most of that. Now, what we're going to do now, Vicki, I still got some over there I need to get. I may have gone a little bit too heavy on this first coat. But there are no mistakes, right? Sharon, I was going to talk to you about that this afternoon when I have a few minutes. Is it watercolor? I can use the paint I made. All right, now I've got one coat on this whole when there's another little spot. Dang it. It's not there anymore. Use some micaceous iron oxide. Now I forget how liquid that is. Golden. You can buy this in smaller. This is Martha Stewart Florentine Gold. This is mainly just gold mica suspended in an acrylic polymer. So when it dries, that's all you see. You can tell right here. Just looks like teensy tiny. Martha Stewart Pearl. Oh, that's a good one right here. Grumbacher acrylic, and it is an interference, which means it looks one color one way and another color another. This is an old tube. One of my friends moved into a nursing home. She'd been painting since before I was even born. Probably, well, maybe not. I'm older than dirt. So when she moved into a nursing home, she, not nursing, assisted living. I had a chance to get a lot of her supplies. This is Martha Stewart Metallic Rose Chrome. Let's put some of this red on it for grins. I don't think I had enough ink on my ink pad to really do this technique justice. But you can tell something's under there, and that's really the point. That one was dark, awful dark. I don't know, Sharon. Am I supposed to know your husband? She says with trepidation. I have a pot holder laying here. I was using it to keep stuff from falling off yesterday on my easel I have set up for that encaustic. He's older than dirt, that's why I should know him, huh? Well, that didn't work at all. Let's try this darker one. A little bit of a pattern. On the fuchsia. Purple flash. What's your definition of older than dirt, Sharon? Lynn Lurker is in the house. Black and iron. And some Martha Stewart that needs to be shaken. Not stirred. I got way too much. I still keep thinking I'm going to get that pattern. There. That's a pretty color. This is the one. Let's see if we can get this one junked up. And then I'm going to go back and look at the way Robin did hers. Hers is prettier than mine. We're not going to tell anybody that. I can still see some stuff under it, which was the goal. It's a pretty piece of paper no matter what you're aiming for. I'm gonna let that dry. It probably needs a little bit more. When you watch something on a video, anybody's video, and you think, oh yeah, I got that, and then you go back to your own studio to try it, you ain't got that. So sometimes you have to go back several times to get it. One of these days. Let's go ahead and get this one ready too. Let's do this one. And where's that other little bitty one? See if I can make this work. That one will take a little bit. It's still sticky. Oh, that is, well, thank God you're not looking at my face on the big screen. I don't need any help in that department. You're probably getting a pretty good picture of it, aren't you? I'm waiting on this to dry. That's pretty all by itself. It's got crackle in it. You can't see it. Dried stuff. I have no patience when it comes to waiting for something to dry. And the risk is that you'll ruin your pen. I tried doing the goddess writing on this with the India ink, and when I put it down, it just smushed and you couldn't tell what it was. So this is Robin's technique for putting it on a jelly. So pay attention, and we'll see if this works. A dry coat of acrylic so that you don't ruin your pen. And here we go. I don't think I've got enough down here, maybe. Didn't have enough paint on that. Nope. Probably just ruined my pen. Let's put a coat of real thin medium white, warm white from Deco Art Traditions. This is an excellent paint, and it is artist quality. Everybody's talking about that now, but it is definitely artist quality. It's made with real pigment. Okay, now we're going to let that dry. And very reasonably priced. Single pigment colors, I think almost entirely. I haven't looked at that. So that means you can mix them if you're into that kind of painting. Now, the beauty of craft paint is that you buy the color you want, and then you've got 100 tubes hanging around. Nothing wrong with that either. Just depends on, aren't these a shame to waste? The little butt nuggets that come out of the paint. Anyway, it just depends on what you're going to do. If you're doing fine art painting, that's a cool little tool. I have no clue where I got that. Depends on what you're doing. If you want to mix colors and that's your thing, then you have to go with single pigment color. Otherwise, when you mix it, if you don't know what's in it, you're going to make mud. La 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 la. Now that's already got some writing on it, so let's just put yes, I do have Twitter, Vicki Lou 92. Twitter is the downfall of me. I got all up in political stuff and I can stay on there for 3 hours. I got a little, not much. Not much. Jelly plate's grabbing the pen. I may have to go back to school tonight. What was your Twitter lesson? Kalina, you're just having fits. Are you using Chrome? Well, that didn't work at all. Well, we will keep trying that. Oh, that's stupid. If you're going to put it on the back of that, put it on something. I'm sorry. There's never any stupid. Put it on something you can use. If it turns out. It's supposed to transfer the writing. I don't get into the down and dirty or the casual conversation type stuff, but what I do is follow people who do know what's going on, like constitutional lawyers and a little bit of writing. And articles in the Atlantic. That's what you're kind of supposed to get. There's some writing. That's a pretty color print, though. Articles to stuff I would not read, otherwise I wouldn't have any access to. But I am real careful who I talk to. Love those crunchy things. Okay, we're not on that piece of paper. We'll use it, but we're not on it. I'm about to get bored. It doesn't take much for me to need to change. That's probably why I do so many different mediums. Got some nice stuff there. Some grunge. Is that I do get bored, and that's not a good thing, but it is what it is. So I'll work on oil for, maybe 2 or 3 a month, 2 months, something like that, maybe 6. And then one day I just wake up and I'm tired of it. So I'll switch to soft pastels. And I wanted to get back into watercolor seriously a long time before I did. So I started with watercolor and then dropped it when I realized how freaking hard it was. It turned out good. It was hard for me, let's put it that way. And my tutor in watercolor was Charles Reed, who is one of the world's best watercolor artists. And of course, I couldn't do what he did. Nobody could. I mean, had more practice. But it was a fun time, and I did learn a lot. Let's put a little bit of that white here. Looks like strawberries and cream, doesn't it? I signed up in 2009 and was scared to death of it, Sharon. Mainly because I'd heard so many bad things about it, and that you get on there and say something and 1 million people jump on you for saying it. But I just started out following people that I liked, like newscasters. If you like Stephanie Rule or Anderson Cooper, start following out some people like that. And the group of people that follow them is for the most part nicer. So that's what I did. See, that's kind of pretty with that white on there too. And I don't do Facebook much of anything except for the private groups I'm in. And occasionally I'll look at the timeline and Messenger and stuff like that. But I found the people on Facebook are much uglier than the ones on Twitter. In fact, we all have a common friend on here that blocked me because of it. I did a test and she put something on there that I knew would trigger. And boy, did it. I was watching her videos every day and contributing on her. But no conversation, no nothing. It was just she blocked me. But then she had to tell me that she did. Now, if you're going to block me, just do it and disappear. Don't brag about it. That was a one-time occasion. And I did do it on purpose. Not directed at her, but Got some good crusty bits there. So you can still see the stamp under all these translucent layers. We're just adding some stuff. The chocolate brown we know is dark, so I won't use so much. Glad I have the studio door closed. I just heard hubby burp real big. Oh, those will work. I have some credit cards cut with weird corners cut off and patterns cut in them. Ooh, look at that. Oh, that's the new. There's some Pebeo. That was the doggy gate going down. We have a 7-month-old miniature schnauzer who loves toilet paper. So we just keep a doggy gate up for the bedrooms. So she can't have free reign. Yeah, that paint blob does kind of look like that. Well, excuse me for burping. He brought me a Sonic hamburger right before I went on. It's been a while since I've had one, and it was good too. So the Pebeo is also translucent. Anyway, did y'all hear me say homegrown Arkansas tomatoes BLT tonight for dinner? I can hardly wait. Now that it's about time for frost, we start getting tomato bushes full. Okay, we're going to time you, Judy. I really don't know what all the hoorah is over these mark making tools. I think these are usable. I think that's usable. I could keep going, but I'm not. Okay, that's dried. One, two, three. Ta-da. Put the paint up so I can get it back out in a minute. Let's switch over to the paints I made so y'all can see what I did so you don't do the same thing. I knew when I was doing it that I was getting sloppy. I just think that's so weird that I can sit work on something like the encaustic or an oil painting for hours and don't get bored, but this kind of stuff, I do it and I get bored. Doesn't make any sense. Nope. Yep, yep, yep. So those aren't too bad. It started with rubber stamps from somebody else and grunged them up enough that you can't really tell what they are. So I think that's pretty cool. Good enough for who it's for. Okay, here we go. Ooh, you can tell that I made a mess. This is the one I was laughing at yesterday. It was all the way full to the top with water. I'm so glad you put it on there. Now what are you going to do? We don't need both of those. We just need one. Use the thin yellow. And one of those. And that. That's the same blue. And that. Okay, here we go. This is the Princeton Neptune size 4, and it is one of the brushes included in the kit for my school. I prefer natural hair squirrel, but this is such a great brush. It's an imitation squirrel. And the reason that natural hair is so good is that it holds a lot of water, and the more water it holds in its belly, the longer you can paint without going back to the palette. Hey, Aunt Beck. I've been trying to catch one of your lives. I love Goodwill Day, but you're kind of on at times I'm not. I mean, not on, or even maybe sometimes up. We're playing with some paint that I made from some watercolor pigment. Nah, not watercolor. Some earth minerals pigment that I had for encaustic, and I thought, let's go there. Yellow is a wee bit chalky. What I want to see is how they move and how they play with each other. Now, if you have a pigment that's made out of dye, it won't stay on top of the paper like this. It'll soak right into the paper. These are re-wetting really well for the mess that I made making them. Now, these are plain pigments. They don't have any mica. We just made a few. There's the new pigment, girls. About mineral paints and how dangerous they were years ago before dirt. It's doing a good job, guys. It's painting up pretty good. Can you see it? We've got some granulation in that green, which I like, and some in the blue. Not bad. Like I need another whole set of watercolors, but at least these I make myself. And I've got that. Of course, most of the colors I've got over there are similar. Okay, what do you think? Some granulation there. Kitty cats are so fun. I miss our kitty cat. Oh, before I was even born. Okay. Well, I guess any kind of a mineral is dangerous. Key is just not to breathe it. But I don't get all upset about it. I work with raw pastels without a mask and don't get dead. Okay, so there's that. Now we tested it. I'm happy with it. I think we did good. Okay, now I'm going to very carefully get down my watercolor storage. I have a video on this system, and it was painstaking to do, but I am ever so glad I did it. These pop open by themselves, so I've got to put a piece of Velcro or something on it so it doesn't, because I have spilled all of these several times here and a couple of times at Rosemary's place. So I want to see y'all better and I can't. Danger. I don't know if you've seen these or not, but I have them labeled. This is A1 for yellow, just a random number. And I have a tube of these are my tube colors for the most part. I have a few pans that were wrapped that way. I bought them on eBay years ago. So I had this bag of Winsor Newton artist quality pans. And so I thought, well, I might as well just do this. But here's what I can do. I can look here and I know that that is Winsor Newton PY35, which is on the side of the pan. And it is in position, it's in box A1, which is yellow, and it's in position 1. So I can take this out and put it in another tin. Like this one that's just been kicking around the studio. So I can just take it and put it in another tin, and if I pull the colors that I want to work with on a particular painting, then when I get finished with that painting, it's simple to pop it right back in where it lives. Yeah, I made this up, Aunt Beck. It's kind of surprising, isn't it, that I was able to remember it very long. These are cores. Some of them I kept separate as a brand because these have a different binder in them. It's a proprietary binder. So I've kept those separate. And this has been kicking around in the studio. This is Twinkling H2Os. And I've since learned through all this paint making and stuff that if I go back to those, I have the big mamas. If I go back and put a drop of glycerin in there, I can put it in a paint tube and it will behave. Right now, all it does is breaks up like stained glass. So anyway, there's my paint system. And obviously, I have some yellows checked out for another. Oh, I put some core in here because I need to know that I have that and what they are. So that's that. And I have one blue, warm red. What I'm looking for, I want some Daniel Smith granulating. And there's Moon Glow. Sorry for my head. I can play with Moon Glow. Cool red, green. I'm just going to take out the green palette because I know it's got a bunch. Chromatex are what I'm looking for. And these are Daniel Smith's. A whole bunch, Daniel Smith. Daniel Smith. I have way too many paint colors. Not really. I mean, you know what I mean. Uh-oh. I found the Twinkling H2Os. This is a good lesson for y'all to see. See that? It's just like glass. And all these little pieces down in here belong in that bucket. We'll worry about that another day. I don't know where that, oh, here. Well, we'll just put that back down in there and deal with that some other time. Put that over here. I have a fishing tackle box with 5, plastic boxes that you would put tackle in. And then more than that I've bought recently, but don't tell anybody. And this is why I don't like M. Graham. That happens to be Holbein, but it sticks and it takes a year to dry. And then if you get it wet again, you've got the same problem. Oh, there's a hole too in that one. I need to get back to it. It's a core. I want to do some more of these watercolor washes. Bronzite and hematite. That should be these two right here. Hematite. Okay. And I don't have to worry about it because they're labeled, so I know exactly where they go. Purple. Well, there might be a granulating Daniel Smith in here. Holbein doesn't granulate. What am I missing? Ooh, I looked at reds. No orange. Okay, the greens. I think this is where the most of them are. I got to keep up with you guys. So there's the iPad. We never did get the chat up on the. But those out of the way. I'm talking to myself. Sorry. No, it's not glass paint. It's twinkling H2Os. She, at the time, didn't believe in putting additives in her paint, and they're a bitch to re-wet. I think I've got some colors out of order in here, which is no great surprise. And I did buy some stronger neodymium magnets to put on the bottom. These are just like business card magnets. This is why I hate pans. You gotta wait on them. But it's good enough for this kind of stuff. And I know what tubes I have. That one doesn't have a whole lot of power. This is Terra Vert by Winsor Newton. But this system is a whole lot easier than having that bag out all the time. Moonglow. Remember me showing you the portraits of the painted ladies? That's what, this is the color I use there. Terra Vert was not a good choice. These are so strong, they'll overpower it. Jadeite's a good one. The thing that's so confusing is that this is on strap, it's not cotton. So you're going to get a different effect on cotton paper. So if what you're looking for is to see what the paints will do when you use them, if you're going to use them in a real painting, you have to use good watercolor paper. And that means cotton. Cotton is what I mean. I can just keep adding pigment up here. Whoops, that's the wrong color. Also get in the habit of drop cloth and change it before it turns to black. It gives you great papers to work with. Look at how nice that's running. Now, the Moonlight has 3 different pigments in it. It has ultramarine, it has phthalo blue, I believe, and it has a red, I forget, maybe alizarin crimson. But the 3 colors together, they've got color chemists and everything. This isn't us just playing around with pigment mixing. And I like blooms too. The chemistry in this is that the size of the pigment, the color pigment, the molar that everybody's using, that's intended to grind that paint particle down to a millisecond, whatever it's called. I mean, there's different sizes of pigment. So some of them also are heavier and some are lighter than others. So if you know that, you can plan the mixture so that maybe the ultramarine is heavier and drops out of the water first, and then the other 2 colors float. And then when they settle out at different rates, that's when you get the variation in the color. And you can't plan that. That's what Daniel Smith is known for. We're picking up a little bit of blue in here. Okay, now let's see who's here. Hey, Shauna. Kathy. These, oh, God, yeah, Sharon, I mixed tube paint. That's how I learned. Just lay that right there. The first paints I tested when we started were ones I made the other day here. But these are Daniel Smith Primatech colors. Daniel Smith ranks 1 or 2 in the world. You cannot go wrong with Daniel Smith. What you look for in artist quality paint is you look for the label, and you want to know PY is all pigments are classified in a master database. Like pigment yellow is called PY. So on a yellow, you're going to see PY 38. And if you're a chemist, you'll know exactly what color that is and what it's going to do mixed with others. If you're an artist, if you see on a green that they've got, let me look at my chart up here. There's a reason for what I'm saying. Let me find one. Here's one. Permanent Green Light by Holbein. It's made with 2 pigments, Pigment Yellow 1 and Pigment Yellow 53. If you come along and add, say, a little bit of red to that, you're going to get mud because they're opposites. But you have to know what those 2 colors are so that you can choose a third color to tone it down and not get. So here's another PG7 PY3. That is a Cheap Joe's. Daniel Smith. Now, Daniel Smith's Primatech colors do have 2 or 3 colors in them, but that's for the trick pony stuff over here. The next major brand in ranking would be Schminke or Sennelier. They kind of flip back and forth. The problem with Schminke is that they have like a third, I want to say, of their tubes are double pigment mixtures. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but you're much better off if you're a color mixer to just have single pigment tubes, with exceptions, of course. Look at this. Let's see, and third would probably be Oh, Winsor Newton's always up in the top 4. And they've been forever. Their quality control is consistent. You can't go wrong with any of those 4 brands. But Winsor Newton Daniel Smith would be my top choice. Sennelier and Schmincke tend to be more expensive, and I'm not real sure the quality is as good. This is, when I started doing the watercolor in here, I was using Schmincke, a tube, a set of colors I had here. And they just don't have the pop that these do. Can't compare those because I don't really know what's in these powders. I don't remember what I was doing here, but I was playing with something. But these are from the Schmincke set, and there's nothing wrong with them. You're going to like what you start with sometimes. Craft paints I use for crafts and for journals. PY means the pigment yellow. So P always stands for pigment, and you've got a Y for yellow, an R for red, B, capital BL for black, you've got B for blue, you've got G for green. I mean, it's fairly basic. You can figure it out. I might have a tube of something up here that I haven't cataloged yet. This is an Imgren Naples Yellow, and typically Naples Yellow is a mixture. Let's see. No, it's just one. PBR 24, which is pigment brown 24, but it has to have some white in it somewhere. But if you don't have this information on the outside of the tube, chances are you're not dealing with the top quality artist supplies. Holbein is another one that has mixture colors. This is Juan Brilliant, number 1. Juan. I don't know what that. Here it is. Teeny tiny, but it's there. This is made with pigment orange, PO 20. I can't read it that good. And pigment yellow, PY 38, I believe. And PW6 is white. So you know what's in this tube. But they're good. I mean, you can work with these in your regular painting as long as you know that. And if the labeling doesn't have it, I mean, you just don't know what you're working with. So if you're going to try to mix, you've got to know what you're working with, period. End of lecture. I could watch granulation all day long. The grain of the paper, the raised grain of the paper has the ultramarine blue on it. It appears that the alizarin crimson dropped more into the paper. That's all I know about chemistry. But what makes the granulation is the coarseness of the pigment itself. So let's say you go out, a lot of the Primatex are made from natural stones. So let's say you go out in the creek and you pick up a stone that looks real pretty and it's shiny. You take it home and you grind it till you've got something like baby powder consistency. That's how this stuff is made. It's made from natural minerals. And I am in love with it. Hey, Carol. Do you put the paint in pans from the tubes? Yes. Because it's easier to carry around with you. It's easier to put this in your bag than put in 10 tubes. I use tube paint, freshly squeezed, if I'm working on something. Well, like I just did a commission of a lake scene for a client, and I squeezed out real tube paint for that because it's already wet. It's wet all the way through, so I can mix up a huge wash in a cup like this, where if I did it in a pan, it would take forever. The other thing I don't like about pans is you have a tendency to scrub around with your brush. And if you've got an expensive watercolor brush, you don't necessarily want to do that. Look at the color in that. And that is a pre-made pan, so I think that's probably Winsor Newton, because those were the only pans I put in here. Cobalt turquoise light. You can't read it. Yeah, it is Winsor Newton. It's right here. So I can tell what it is by looking at my little chart too. Green gold. I'm just playing. Get an idea of what colors will do when they're laid side by side. This is one of the earth tones, Daniel Smith. And again, if you're a geologist or something, you'll know what these rocks are. Pegmatite. Now, those particular colors in the Primatech line do not have pigment numbers because they're made from rocks. These other pigments are, you buy them in bulk. And this is a reddish color. You don't get this from the craft paints, but you don't need it from the craft paints because they're not being used for this purpose. And I have just as many Primas, but I keep them separate from my good stuff. Look at that green, would you? Wow. This is why I love to mix. You can't buy a tube of that color. And that is green gold and turquoise. Well, the advantage to this kind of a sketchbook, if you know that it's not cotton and you're not going to get the best results, for playing with color, it's wonderful because it serves that purpose. But if I put these same colors on a sheet of Fabriano or Arches, I'll get totally different results. Can you tell I like playing with pigments? Okay, see who's talking. Oh, he's a retired chemist? That's cool. I'm trying to get this up where you can see it. Watch what it's doing as it dries. It's forming its own. Hey, Aunt Beck, don't you worry about, did I see Rosemary? Hey, Rosemary. Play day at Rosemary's on Saturday. Don't you worry about your cats getting run over. Are you in an area where they won't? Who makes a book with cotton paper? If I were looking for a book with cotton paper, I would make my own. I would get a full sheet of Fabriano or Arches, cold press 140, and I would make my own journal. Right off the top of my head, I can't think of one. I've got one that I paid for, but it's a handmade book. One reason they don't make them is because the thickness of the paper makes them so thick and unwieldy, and the price gets so high they can't really justify the cost. Getting some beautiful granulation. I just think that's the coolest thing since sliced peaches. Okay, who's here? Yes, Shauna, Daniel Smith. What am I right about, Shauna? Yeah, arches that's what I learned to paint on, arches and Fabriano. So those are the ones I use the most. I also use Cheap Joe's Kilimanjaro. Rumor has it in the industry that cool, Lynn. Rumor in the industry is that Arches makes Cheap Joe's paper, Kilimanjaro. Oh, they have 3 acres of woods. That makes a difference than being in town. I'm looking at the tweet. I mean the feed. How did you bind your book, Shauna? Let's see. I've got one real handy. Maybe not. There it is. This is a discontinued binder from Canvas Corp. It's just down the street. And I put Fabriano in here. I'm queer for color now. My big plan was, well, let's take the same yellow and mix it with other colors so you can see what they do, because they travel different. Well, that would have been a voluminous study, so I quit. But I'm just playing with 2 pigments to see what they do, and I labeled which pigment I used. And see how this it's Cad Lemon and Windsor Blue green shade. The blue is stronger than the yellow, so it took over. And here's where I was doing some tests on, that's good to know. I was doing some tests on the different paper. And this is Strathmore 200 series, which I think is what's in this journal. Arches 140 and FS. I wonder what FS is. I probably meant Fabriano, but who knows? Because here's Fabriano. Here's Canson, and this is Fabriano. Okay, just look at these 2. See the difference in the paper over the Strathmore? Massive difference. And this paper's fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but you're not going to get the full experience with that paper. And Canson 140, it does a little bit better. This is the XL series that's sold at Walmart a lot. And this is Fabriano, same colors. Of course, you've got room for error there, how wet the paint was, how, if the paper was wet first. Oh, I made this little book. So I just hole punched it, and it works great until you lose it. Here is another test. This is the Strathmore paper underneath, and this is the Canson. I prefer the Canson, and it does get better ratings overall. Look at this color. That's Moon Glow and Winsor Newton Cad Lemon. Is that beautiful or what? And this is cool. It's just Fabriano paper. So here we don't have any of those colors. Cerulean, Chrome. I don't have that over there. This is Cheap Joe's paint. No, Cheap Joe. Oh, part of the paint is Cheap Joe. Cheap Joe's paint is crap. Got on the tip of my tongue. It's their private label paint. It's made by Da Vinci in the United States, and it's a damn good paint. See, that's pretty. This is on the Canson. Canson is not cotton, though. Remember, it's a synthetic. I mean, it's made with wood. This is Strathmore, and this is Canson. Here you can tell a little bit. You know, it's just perception, really. And then the first handmade paint I got was by Greenleaf and Blueberry. And I got it because they make theirs from real pigment and minerals. So a lot of their colors are neutrals. And this has a natural mica in it. It's burnt bronzite. Daniel Smith hematite. Burnt bronzite may be Daniel Smith. I wasn't going to do all this. Shadow Violet's another pretty one. Anyway, these were the colors in the first set I got. And I only like about 3 or 4 colors having a complete set. They sell out as fast as they get them in. This is the rest of the set. This is natural magnet. You can move the paint around. Practicing with brushes. MOWC. I have no idea what that means. Here I am playing with 2 or 3 colors together to see what happens when you put them together. So you can't go out and buy a tube of paint that color. So that's the why of mixing, not for crafts and scrapbooking and journals. Beautiful purple right here. Remember me telling you guys last week that a friend of mine bought one of the handmade paints on Etsy and just couldn't stand it, had to have it. And this is it. And at the time, it was dry, and I still get stuff off. Can you tell my hands are nasty? That was the cleanest finger I've got. But you can still get, well, might as well not even try that. I don't have any clean hands. So that would mean that the binder either wasn't good enough or didn't have, that's what the binder does. Otherwise, the pigment, when the water dries, the pigment's just going to brush right off the page. So that's what the binder does, is it makes that pigment adhere to the page. Now, do I use all these paints in real paintings? No. It's more fun to play with them. So, now what am I missing? Wasn't what I had planned, but we'll take it, right? 6:21. Have I been on here that long? 2.5 hours? Ooh. The bee papers I've got, I haven't really put them to a good test yet. They're 100% cotton. I'm looking at the chat. I need to get off here. It's adult Kool-Aid time in Arkansas. Bee paper. I did a lot of work in the Prima paper. That was after that surgery when I was painting in my chair. And their small books were just a good size to mess with. But they are, all of those papers, that have a branded name or a store name on them pretty much are not going to be cotton. Oh, yeah, Galena, I'll lead you down the path to destruction. Hey, Pandora. Well, since I have been on here almost 2.5 hours, I guess I better quit. Do they make journals now, Shauna? Their price is very much right. But again, guys, I'm not dissing craft paints or cellulose paper at all because I use it. I have used it. But just know that for what purpose you're going to use it for. That's my lecture is over. I know, I got busy talking. Y'all can't let me talk. Anyway, we've got some pages we can journal up. I'm just about finished with this little book, so I'm going to finish a journal. All right, silliness. What's 8 by 8? Oh, the B paper. I like a square format. 8 by 8's a good size. If y'all want another show and tell, I'll show you the Prima stuff I did on their paper next week. You're welcome, China. And I will talk to you guys next Tuesday. Okay? I enjoy everybody being here. I appreciate it muchly. And now I'm kicking out. Have a good evening.